Hello, I am the creature from the Black Lagoon. The podcast you are about to hear is not affiliated with or authorized by CoolGames Inc., Polygon, or Vox Media, but is believed as a tribute to the CoolGames Inc. fan community. Now, enjoy the podcast.
Hey, welcome to another episode of CoolGames Inc. Vancouver, our podcast where we design a video game that is real good, and we do it because you gave us suggestions. I'm Spanky. Spanky Works on Twitter, but don't call me Spanky Works, just Spanky Works.
I'm Euan, and I guess I need to think of a thing to say if you're gonna say that every single time.
See, I've had several years to think up Spanky Works.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was originally like a joke, and then I had to think of like a tag that goes with it to make it fun to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had several years, but with a name like Euan, I feel like you and me could probably think up something funny for it, right? So we designed video games.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got some to design from our devoted listeners?
Yeah, you can send them in to us through Gmail if you want me to read them. That's at CoolGamesIncVN at gmail.com. That's spelled Kewl. Or if you want Spanky to read them, then you can tweet them at him. That's also at CoolGamesIncVN. And those are the best ways to send them to us. You can also put them on the CoolGames Inc. subreddit or in the comments on our YouTube videos. Here is a submission that we got through email. We got a lot of emails last time, and that's good. Thank you. Keep it up.
Everyone hates Spanky. They want Euan to read them, so that's good to know.
What, did you not get a lot of tweets? This is from Camden Walton, and he says, Cuphead, but done in the style of 90s cartoons.
Oh, yes!
I love it
I need
so
this
much.
in my life. I love 90s cartoons.
I love them too.
And not in a... Man, cartoons today suck kind of way, like, because I was a kid in the 90s, so I watched 90s cartoons. Like, a lot of people have that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I just like that most of the cartoons... So, in the 90s, we didn't really have flat screens and all that shit, so everyone watched these on, like, 13-inch CRTs with built-in VCRs and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like most people knew that, so, like, tons of episodes would just be, like when you watch them now in high definition, you're like, oh... This is they hit a lot of stuff behind the technology, so I like it's similar to how Cuphead, based on the early early 30s and late 20s style of animation, has a lot of the quirks there. Like, one thing I noticed that was really cool about Cuphead was that the colors aren't consistent between different places you see Cuphead. Sometimes his gloves are yellow, sometimes they're white. A lot of that happening because, like, similar to early color cartoons, there was just no consistency there. But 90s cartoons had several gems. Like, I'm thinking right off the top of the head, Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, the Powerpuff Girls was a 90s cartoon.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, the ones that come to mind for me are, like, Batman the Animated Series and the Spider-Man. The Spider-Man animated series, I would love to play off that, because that had, like, the early 3D animated backgrounds sometimes while they still had 2D characters, and I think we could have a lot of fun doing levels with that. The other thing about 90s cartoons is that they were still all traditionally animated for the most part, and so they even though they had a lot of glitches and they, like, the Ninja Turtles would switch mask colors all the time because of accidents and that kind of thing, I still kind of like how they look more than all the cartoons today that kind of just look like flash animations. Like, I feel like computer animation kind of brought down... I don't want to say the amount of effort, but kind of the amount of effort. I guess the amount of time it took. The amount of...
it's a bit more homogenous now, I think, is what you're trying to get at. So, Cuphead. Have you played Cuphead?
I have not yet. I tried to buy it today, but I couldn't.
I've played a bit of Cuphead, and it's a fun game, and I like to play it. It's also very hard, and I'm not good at video games, so you can guess who is doing the easy mode on a lot of them, and it's this guy, because I suck at video games.
I suck at video games, but I will not have my pride assaulted by a video game's difficulty. Like
I gave up my pride so long ago. Doesn't even matter to me. I am a grown-ass adult. I do not have time for that. So the style of gameplay it is it's not, I hesitate to say platformer, but there are some platforming levels. Mm-hmm. Mostly what it is kind of like boss battles. Mm-hmm. 3 minute or so long, depending on the boss battles, of just like multiple stages to each boss battle, and you fight them, and they just transform into other, and they just follow styles like the Fleischer Brothers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking probably the same genre. I mean, they said Cuphead, but with 90s, so I'm thinking the same genre.
I don't think it has to be. I think it was more just thinking animate it in the style of 90s cartoons, the way Cuphead.
Right, but I want to do that though. I do want to keep the same genre, and the reason why is because the early animation style wasn't. It was varied in the sense that like a lot of weird things would be in the same cartoon, but as far as styles went, you didn't have a lot of studios making animation. Like you really had like the Fleischer Brothers and Disney, and even they weren't like extremely like if you saw Popeye and Mickey in this like 40s Popeye and Mickey in the same cartoon, you wouldn't be like freaked out by the wildly different art style like you would if you saw what was it, Jimmy Neutron and Timmy Turner from Fairly Odd Parents in a crossover.
I was the right age, and so I watched that special a lot of times.
Oh, that's awesome. But that's weird. So, but I'm thinking, since this is 90s cartoons, and it's gonna be kind of like you get the weird crossover feel like from the Fairly Odd Parents Jimmy Neutron crossover episode. But how that happens is when you choose your player character. So if you choose like Johnny Bravo, you have like Johnny Bravo style attacks, I'm assuming, with your hair. And Johnny Bravo would be hard mode because
I think we should have original characters for this. But one thing, we do need a character who's animated in the style of the characters in Reboot, like just the worst 3D animation we could possibly do.
Yeah. Now I want to talk about this 90s cartoon, and I highly doubt you've heard of it because it lasted for maybe like a couple episodes, and it was on, I think, Nickelodeon. And I remember the theme song and nothing about what the show was about, but I think I maybe watched an episode once. It might have been an early 2000s cartoon or late 90s. I don't remember. It was called Butt Ugly Martians.
Oh yeah, I know about that.
And I can't remember anything about it, but the theme song had like some chants, and it was like BKM, BKM, and I was like, Butt Ugly Martians is not BKM. What does that mean? And I've looked it up since, and it's butt kicking mode, and I guess they were trying to go for like the BKM is like the Butt Ugly Martians version of
FAB from Thunderbirds.
Yeah, or Thundercats ho, like
right.
Like that's what Lionel said in Cowabunga. It was trying to be like the thing, but they were trying so hard to force it into being a real thing that it never organically developed as a real thing. Also, look up some screenshots or videos of this on YouTube or something. It was one of the most ugly animated shows. It was 3D animated, and it was disgusting to look at. It was not pleasant. And this is several years past Toy Story, I'm pretty sure. So it's not like 3D was impossible to do.
Well, they kept looking.
It may have been.
They kept looking terrible because I remember there was a show that was on when I was young that was called Monster by Mistake. It is sickening to look at. Oh yeah, these look. I've looked up Butt Ugly Martians, and yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. And I guess like I was a little on like the wrong end of the spectrum to watch Jimmy Neutron. I still watched it a little bit, but on like the age spectrum, where I was like, I think it was either really late 90s or early 2000s. So I was like heading into middle school at the time, and I was still watching cartoons, but also that one kind of veered more towards like the 7 to 9-year-old crowd, and I was on the edge of that, so I don't know.
I noticed when I was like 10 or 11, I started watching it again for some reason, but I found out because it's Steve Odekirk who did like he did the Thumb Wars and Thumbtanic and all those. He's actually a pretty good writer, and that made watching Jimmy Neutron at the age of 10 and 11 like, oh, this is actually pretty good.
I think I appreciate it back then. I appreciated it back then for some reason. It was written well. But to look at Jimmy Neutron kind of is not a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to
Cuphead.
The Cuphead 90s one.
See, the thing about the gameplay, like, you think it should be a shooter like Cuphead. What I was thinking was that all of those 90s cartoons had a kind of shovelware-y licensed game, and they were all 2D platformers that had basic beat-em-up components, and I think that we should try and make it like that, but try and optimize it so that it's clearly meant to be calling back to that, but it actually plays well.
So like instead of an original game like Cuphead is, where it's good and made well, we just make it like a all-encompassing 90s bad tie-in / brand deal like platformer, and like, but it's an original thing. It's not a tie-in with, an animated series. It's just like, we made this game and it's all done in 90s, and it's also based on 90s crappy games.
But we can get like some good promotion out of it if we have that first trailer pretending it's a real cartoon, and we get like an intro that looks like a 90s cartoon. I think that could work out for us. I want to read out the other thing they said on the email. So what he also put after his idea was bonus points for all the shitty cool is in quotations, stuff you can fit in there, like skater culture and all that other stuff that is no longer cool. I'm sorry, Camden Walton. You're just wrong. Everything that was cool in the 90s is definitely still cool. Skater culture is still cool.
You see, you say that, but you didn't live in the 90s, and I did, and let me tell you, there are some things that aren't still cool. For example, Gap and every bit of clothing they make. Not sure if it's still cool. But let me tell you, every kid in like 1997, they had their white t-shirt and Gap denim overalls, and that was their shit back in the day. I remember that, especially because like whenever kids would misbehave and their parents would pick them up by their Gap overalls, that was always that happened. It was so often that people would wear that outfit that it's a clear memory to me that I can remember several kids getting picked up by their overalls.
But I do think a lot of things are still cool. Pogs are still cool. Neon colors are still cool. Tamagotchis are still cool.
You might be alone on the Tamagotchi thing.
Rap music, bad rap music is still cool.
That's true.
It's still cooler than good rap music.
Okay, so I think like to put a cap on the 90s Cuphead pitch, we should give it a name.
Yeah, so we have to come up with the idea of the cartoon that it's based around.
Yeah. So 90s cartoon, I'm thinking
they were all superheroes, even when they weren't based on comics. It was all like
because I mean, well, you had super gross ones like Ren and Stimpy, which I'm not even still sure how it was not censored more than it was. And then you had some that were like very innuendo heavy. Like all of them had innuendo, but I'm thinking like Rocko's Modern Life was very innuendo heavy. Putting Rocko in situations like working at a phone sex line and his best friend's mom calling in. Yeah, that happened.
But I feel like it got sort of split down the middle with comedy cartoons and action cartoons, because if we go with comedy, we could have Animaniacs and all that kind of stuff.
Right. So I think we just need a premise, and usually for 90s cartoons, it was either very significant thing in regular world, so like Powerpuff Girls and Townsville, which is just regular town, or Dexter's Lab, which is just Dexter in a normal family, or it was completely normal thing with extremely weird like style or thing, and that's what I'm thinking of, like Rocko's Modern Life, which was at its core just about Rocko doing things, or Cat Dog, which was about, gosh, I don't even know what Cat Dog was really about, but it was really just Cat Dog living the life of Cat Dog, and then crazy things would happen. So we've got it settled. Do we want to go like extraordinary character in regular world kind of thing, or do we want to do like regular character, like spends his time doing his taxes but hijinks happens, like Rocko's Modern Life?
I think the first one's more interesting.
Okay, so like Powerpuff Girls, like we have a superhero and like the world is otherwise pretty normal.
Yeah. Okay. So the superhero, I think he's a 12-year-old kid. He's got like neon looking clothes and a baggy t-shirt and shorts and a backwards cap. What's his superpower? It has to be something sort of high concept.
Let's see. So I think he can talk to ghosts, but from the future. So like people that are still alive after they die, they can travel back in time and talk to this kid. So he can talk to like the ghost of his mom, or whatever, like anything like that.
I think he also wears inline roller skates 100%
and
of the time.
he has to it's like Doctor Who, but not really, kind of, where he's got to keep time from screwing up. There was a show like that, but I forgot what it was, where like they had to set time back, and it was time. Oh, that was an early 2000s cartoon. It was called Time Squad, and it had a really cool theme song, and it only lasted for a season, I think. But like the premise of that show was, the kid would have to go back in time whenever something was going wrong. So like if the United States were like, no, we're cool with Britain, and they just stayed part of Britain forever, they'd have to go back and start the revolution or whatever. So I'm thinking kind of like that, except for he doesn't time travel. The ghosts he talks to are time traveling from the future.
The other thing this reminds me of is Our Friend Martin, the cartoon about the kid who travels back in time to bring Martin Luther King to the future to show him what he did, and then when he brings him to the future, he didn't do what he did because he's been brought to the future.
Oh.
that is quite a cartoon.
So is it easier to think of a name now that we've got
Time Kid?
The kid who can Time Kid. No.
That wasn't me trying to come up with the title. That was just me referring to Time Ghosts.
How about Time Ghosts?
With a Z. Time Ghosts.
With a Z, yeah.
Yeah, with a Z. We're Cool Games Inc. Vancouver. We have to say it the Canadian way.
Shit, yeah. With a Z.
Yeah.
That word never leaves my mouth unless I'm talking about popular electronic dance musician Zed.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, let's leave that where it is. Thank you, Camden Walton. You had a great idea, even though you're wrong about the 90s not being cool anymore. Do you have another idea?
So this one comes from Glugy on the subreddit. Thanks, Glugy. It's, how about a game where you play as Jackie Chan, and at the end of every stage you fight a famous Jack, real or fiction?
Right. So, what age is it Jackie Chan today? Is it 50, 60-year-old Jackie Chan?
Yes, it is. And also, I want to call this game Jackie Chan Can.
Okay. So
because you like, it's gonna be like you do a stage, and at the end it's like, can Jackie beat Jack something, and then the audience goes, Jackie Chan can.
Well, the boss fights are just one section of the levels. I think the rest of the level is bookended by asking if Jackie Chan can do something. So maybe it's Jackie Chan is at a circus. Can Jackie Chan please the children and be a clown? Jackie Chan can, and then he has to do that, and that's the level.
So it's kind of like WarioWare, where it's just, here's a micro game. Can Jackie Chan?
Yeah, that sounds great.
and if you beat the micro game, then Jackie Chan can, and then it's boss battle with famous Jack. I want to sidebar this with something. I was listening to NPR, which I do on every day almost, because I drive and I don't like music when I drive for some reason. unless it's a long drive. Anyway, I heard a interview with Jackie Chan very recently, and he was not upset, but he was saying that he's very typecast, and in America he's typecast kind of as a funny martial art actor, and in China he can act in any martial arts film, but he's always a martial artist. He's not just a person. And it made me feel really sad for Jackie Chan that he's typecast. So I want this game to be...
It's him trying to break his mold. That is his motive, that he wants to break his type. He wants to show that that Jackie Chan can do whatever.
Jackie Chan does all these different micro games, which is like him not fighting. There are no fighting in any of the micro games. But his career in the form of the jacks that he's going to fight are just pulling back and like, no, you're typecast. I am a bad guy. You now fight me. And Jackie Chan just can't let the world fall into ruin, so he has to fight them. But he's also conflicted because he wants to do the micro games, and he wants that to be his job and not fighting people.
And maybe the other Jacks represent other things that Jackie has to ascend to being able to do. So maybe if it's Jack Sparrow, Jackie Chan can be a pirate captain, or if it's Jack Skellington, he can be the king of Pumpkin Town. I can only think of fictional Jacks
Halloween
right now.
Town. He's the Pumpkin King.
Jack the Ripper. Can Jackie Chan be a successful serial killer? I'm sorry.
I mean, I think probably, but also I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that might get us up to an M-rated game, unless we're really cartoon mischief. If we make sure it's cartoon mischief, then we can get that E10+.
Well, there will be. It's Jackie Chan. I'm saying the thing that's typecasting him as I'm advocating for not typecasting him, but I want cartoon mischief in a game with Jackie Chan in it. I just one of the Jacks he has to fight is Jack Black.
Okay.
And it's gonna be he wants to be a teacher, a music teacher, and Jack Black comes in. Nope, School of Rock, Jack Black, and he has to like do a Battle of the Bands fight, like Scott Pilgrim the movie style, with Jackie Chan and Jack Black.
So I think he can be humorous Jackie Chan like Police Story, or he can be serious Jackie Chan like New Police Story. Have you seen
exactly? And like I just want like. I like this idea a whole lot. I just want to make sure that like Jackie's on board with this, because he talked about, he won an honorary Oscar, and he said in the interview like, oh, I never thought I was gonna win an Oscar, because you don't win an Oscar for like just being a stuntman who does your own stunts, because those movies don't usually win Oscars. And he said that it was a joke he cracked. It was Jackie Chan will never be cast as on the beach kissing the girl. And to get Jackie on board with this, I think we go to him and say, Jackie, here's what you wanted. We're gonna do a micro game where you're on a beach and you kiss a girl, and I think that will be what since Jackie has expressed wanting to do that will immediately get him on board with this, and that means that he will act in this video game for us. He will do the voice roles and all the stunts and the motion capture. So that means that we've instantly got a selling point. Like, it's the Jackie Chan game with real Jackie Chan.
There is a fair few Jackie Chan games with real Jackie Chan. There's the Jackie Chan NES game, there's the arcade game, there's the N64 game, there's the cartoon game. But yeah, it's not like it's the first Jackie Chan game with the real Jackie Chan.
It's the first Jackie Chan game
it's the real Jackie Chan, but it's not. Yes. We don't mean the physical Jackie Chan. We mean the real Jackie Chan, who is not just being a martial artist. He's being the real Jackie Chan and showing all of his potential.
Exactly. It's the first game with the real, and we can put.
It's the first anything. It's the first anything with the real Jackie Chan. It's the first time we're getting to know him in warts and all.
It's an introspective micro game into the psyche and life of Jackie Chan, with also him fighting famous Jacks and also fiction Jacks, and sometimes not even famous Jacks, just Jacks, just people, like just random people named Jack, like Jack from accounting. Jackie Chan wants to be an accountant. Can Jackie Chan? And then at the end of that micro game, you fight Jack from accounting.
So I think if he is fighting every Jack, then he is using his martial arts abilities, but increasing reluctance.
Yeah, exactly.
This is gonna. I really like Jackie Chan.
Yeah, pin in this one. Do you have another suggestion?
Here is a good one. This one's also from Canon Walton. So he's gonna try and redeem himself from dissing the 90s. He said two things that I would like to merge into one suggestion. The first was a Shadow the Hedgehog style gritty game, but for Mario characters, and the second is this, which I'm gonna apply the gritty sense to. Waluigi: Sea of Greed. A massive open-world pirate RPG where you play as Waluigi, steal, cheat, and kill your way till you're the king of the pirates. Hire your crew of Mushroom Kingdom denizens and set sail.
So you want to do a gritty Shadow the Hedgehog style game with Waluigi as a pirate, plundering all the Mushroom Kingdom. Two things we need from this. One, we need the actor who played Robbie Rotten in Lazy Town.
Yeah.
Because he did that "You Are a Pirate" song. He's not going to be Waluigi. Obviously, we're going to get Charles Martinet to be Waluigi.
No, because I think he would be a good fit for Waluigi, for the live-action FMV cutscenes of Waluigi.
You know how we... No. You know how we always do, like, Yoda stuff where there's, like, a mentor?
Mm-hmm.
Robbie Rotten, pirate version, is going to be what convinces Waluigi. He's just playing tennis with the rest of the Mario gang. And Robbie Rotten's going to teach Waluigi that he is a pirate.
Okay.
Also, we need branching paths like Shadow the Hedgehog had, because that was everyone's favorite part about Shadow the Hedgehog, the video game.
Of course.
So, you can be a good pirate, or you can be an evil pirate.
Or a chaotic neutral pirate, or all the Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Yes. That's how we make it a lot longer, because Shadow the Hedgehog, you could be good, bad, or neutral. We have to have the 9 layers that Dungeons and Dragons permits.
We don't even have to make this a good game as long as we put like over 150 possible paths on the cover, because I'm pretty sure that's what what Shadow the Hedgehog did. They just did a calculation. How many possible paths can you play this game? This number. Okay, then it's good. And
no, it also it was very cool, and it had a gun, and 10-year-olds like to see a very cool, dark, gritty, cool, angsty, cool hedgehog with a gun and motorcycles.
It also had a damn fourth Chaos Emerald in it.
I love saying that line, and I can never say it without laughing halfway through.
Yeah.
So
Where is that damn fourth Chaos Emerald?
So I think Waluigi has to say "damn" all the time.
Yes. So
I'm Waluigi. I'm gonna damn win. That's also a thing in the 90s Ninja Turtles movie. I guess that's like the go-to edgy word for still being for children.
Yeah, because damn is a bad word, but it's also not one of the bad words that gets you a bad rating in a movie. Like, you can't just throw out all the damns. You can't just be like, good damn morning, damn everybody. How's your damn day going so damn far? You probably can't do that in a children's film. But you can just sneak a little bit of damn in there, and maybe if like the censor who was approving the film like just nodded off for a second because the film sucks, then just like jerked back away. It's like, I'm definitely no dams in here, so you just gotta sneak it in a little bit.
I also just remembered in the Casper movie, it's the little girl tells somebody to piss off, which I always thought was kind of funny because it's not really something you hear people say very often. But
well, I'm pretty sure, and I don't remember the line. I don't remember all the line. I only remember a phrase. After Kerrigan dies in the Casper movie, and she becomes a ghost, and she like comes back, and she's like, "The bitch is back."
Right.
And so like they also threw a bitch in there, so they threw a piss off and a bitch into the Casper movie. So they were like razor's edge of the censors, just like barely made it with that rating. I don't even know what rating it had. Probably PG-13, I guess.
No, it was PG.
Wow.
I only know that because the Nostalgia Critic joke, we got to get that damn PG rating somehow.
Okay. So we've got, and what was the name of the Sea of Greed?
Yeah, Waluigi: Sea of Greed.
Okay.
And
yeah, I like that.
And it is going to be, I think, so Shadow the Hedgehog. I don't even think it was T14. It was E10 plus. I think we need to step up our game and make sure that it gets rated M, because that's what the kids want to play. All the little kids, they want to play M-rated games, and that's why they're not playing Mario games anymore. We need to get them back in our end, and we're gonna do that with M-rated Waluigi Sea of Greed, with lots of bloody blunderbuss. Another B word so I can finish that alliteration.
Yeah. I think what we should do is we should just include a copy of the original Mortal Kombat
and Night Trap. Both of them.
Just include like because I mean, we can get a brand deal and just be like Waluigi: Sea of Greed starring. And did you remember whenever video games used to put demos for other video games and like their extras?
Yeah. Like
from the same publisher.
Like what was it? Ender, that mech game had a demo for Metal. Yeah, Zone of Enders. It had a Metal Gear Rising demo on it. I remember was the Jam Pack discs on PS1. That was I remember I had a Jam Pack that had like 102 Dalmatians and Spyro, like I think Spyro 4, maybe 3. And Spider-Man. It had Spider-Man.
I had one demo disc, and I don't know if it was jam packed, but it was a demo disc, and demo discs were pretty popular back in the day. And it had Medieval on it, the first one, and it had, I want to say, Twisted Metal, and also one of the Spyros, and then it had a few that were just videos.
Yeah.
But they weren't. Here's the weird thing, like, because they weren't compressed like video files on the disc. That would have taken up too much memory. So they had just enough of the game to actually like make like the demo show. Mm-hmm. It was pretty weird. I still to this day I have no idea how they really did it. But
I've been trying to track down the jam pack I had, because like I can find these. I find these a lot of the time at bookstores and secondhand shops for like a quarter. But and when I try and order them online, it's like $10. I'm like, But the one I had the first Spider-Man game, and it had a biking game and a Tony Hawk game.
Right.
And I do remember it had videos about Spider-Man, but I want to have it. I want videos about Spider-Man. Yeah. We gonna move on.
Well, I just wanted to cap that with like the reason I brought that up was because I think to get our M rating, we just include demos for the first Mortal Kombat video game and Night Trap, even though those games have been out for 20, almost 30 years.
And I don't think either of them are enough to secure an M rating anymore. I know that Night Trap is T14 in its re-release, and Mortal Kombat looks like styrofoam.
But it's like you can't double jeopardy a video game rating. So it like the new Night Trap, has a not M rating. The old one totally got one.
All right, so we don't
have double jeopardy. You can't re-rate a game. Like you cannot be re-rated.
So it's not a demo for the recently released Night Trap. It's a demo for the original Night Trap.
Yeah, the Sega CD one. So that just immediately gets our M rating.
Okay.
I've got a game suggestion here. This one comes from Burp and Turf on Twitter. It's The Cat in the Hat in Time.
Okay.
And now you're aware that The Hat in Time is like a new kind of GameCube era styled 3D platformer video game.
Yep, I've watched a bit of it.
And it's got hats in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the video game. It's not Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64, so I don't think it's really worth my time. Mm-hmm. But
and it's not Crash Nitro Kart on the Game Boy Advance, so it's not worth my time.
Yeah. So
those are the only two good video games, by the way, everyone listening.
The movie The Cat in the Hat was really, really good.
Oh, was it?
And I want to have it basically just be a Hat in Time inspired collect 'em up platformer video game where, like Night Trap, it's like your player character is a human, and that human is the movie incarnation of The Cat in the Hat.
This is almost note for note, I'm pretty sure the Cat in the Hat PS1 game.
Really? I've never played it, so...
I know there's one that's a 2D platformer, and I'm pretty sure there's one that's a 3D platformer. I might be mixing it up with the Grinch game, but I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't been paying a lot of attention to Dr. Seuss movie tie-in video games.
Who played the Grinch?
Jim Carrey.
In the Grinch movie.
Jim Carrey.
Oh, okay.
They got 2 Canadian comedians to play both of them.
Okay, it was Jim Carrey, that's right. The thing is, I don't remember that movie, like, at all.
Okay.
And I knew that Mike Myers played the Cat in the Hat.
Mm-hmm.
And I, for some reason in my mind, just conflated the two. And I'm like, did Mike Myers play both those roles? Has Mike Myers been in a movie since the Cat in the Hat came out?
He was in Inglourious Bastards. That really caught me off guard when he was playing a serious British general character in Inglourious Bastards.
I guess the Cat in the Hat is a pretty old movie. I mean, I think it came out when I started middle school.
Was it 99 or 2000?
It would have been after that because I started middle school, so I was I think 11, so I guess 2003. Yeah, so Mike Myers has probably worked since then. Anyway, I actually saw like either an interview or like something he'd written or something about he's just like been a family person and doing like taking care of his family, but is considering coming back to do more movies. And the reason I know that is because I am a huge fan of the bad movie series Austin Powers.
Do you think it's bad?
I think most people think it's bad, but I think that even the people who like it, myself included, think it's bad, and like we wouldn't like it if it was a good movie.
I haven't watched it. Like I watched the 3 when I first found out about them when I was like 12. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've seen them since, and I've sometimes wondered if they're bad or not, and not been entirely sure.
Well, it's one of those things. See, movies used to be able to be bad, but that was okay,
mm-hmm.
and now it's like if a movie's bad, people are like, studio, I need my money back, and we're gonna boycott. You know, it's like no, like movies used to be able to just suck, and like that was okay.
You sound like the producers who complain about Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Yeah, I guess. But I saw him saying like, oh, I might come back and do another Austin Powers movie now that my kids are kind of grown. So if that doesn't take off, if there's not a script, because he said he needs a script, we can just go to him and say, hey, the Cat in the Hat had a PlayStation 1 video game. Now we want to do a like 10 years later or 15 years later version of the PlayStation 1 Cat in the Hat video game. And it's the Cat in the Hat in time. And it's the Cat in the Hat living in, you know, the space station or whatever that the Cat in the Hat lives in now. And all of his collectibles get zapped out by the mafia. And then you go and collect them again. And it's like, how has the world changed in the 15 years since the Cat in the Hat PlayStation 1 video game?
See, the thing about the live-action Dr. Seuss movies is that there's something inherently deeply upsetting about them to me. Just something about these creatures being real. They should never be real.
Yeah.
And it is exponentially increased the amount that I feel that when it's not just the Cat in the Hat, it's a 15 years later aging sort of washed up Cat in the Hat that is even more upsetting. And I think we could probably sell that because people like weird stuff sometimes.
Was that Lorax movie bad?
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
I think I watched that movie in one of those like it's, you know, what was it? Gets 10% faster every time they say Lorax.
Oh, yeah.
I think I watched the Lorax movie in like 20 minutes by watching one of those like speed up things.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I was like, 20 minutes was about as much as I wanted to put up with this movie, but I'm not upset with it because that's how long it lasted for me. But if I had watched like an hour and a half of that, I probably would be upset with it. I
remember liking the Horton Hears a Who movie well enough. It was charming enough, I guess.
Okay, so I guess The Cat in the Hat in Time is just a 15 years later sequel about The Cat in the Hat for the PlayStation 1 video game. Do you have another pitch you want to
share? Yeah, let me take a look. Oh, yeah, this is one. Okay, I have one throwaway one. Sonic 3 and Peggy.
Oh, man. Yeah, so I don't...
We can't make that idea.
Well, last week we talked about how you would listen to Hamilton, but that was during the session where you lost your audio.
Yeah, what I did say was that my life is now divided into pre-Hamilton and post-Hamilton eras.
Yes, like everyone's life who has heard Hamilton the musical, your life is divided into pre and post-Hamilton. So now... Whereas, if someone had said Aunt Peggy to you before, it would have meant nothing to you. And now when someone says Aunt Peggy, you have to spend about 30 minutes on YouTube looking up Aunt Peggy meme videos.
And it is the funniest thing in the world. I now realize I've seen the light that Aunt Peggy is the funniest two combination of words possible in the English language and in any language. But let's move on from that. That was from Dante O'Donnell. This is from... Andrew, that one GM Young, and it is a fractal platforming game about a young science girl with the ability to shrink herself in order to fit into smaller spaces. However, while she can shrink herself as many times as she wants, she can never unshrink herself. So as she shrinks, there continues to be more platforming challenges, hence the fractal qualifier above.
That's really cool, though.
Yeah, that would be a very cool video game.
Like, that's really cool. Did you ever play that game Metrico?
I did not.
It was, gosh, I don't remember. I think it was maybe a Vita game or a PSP game. It had this really kind of neat art style. Where it was mostly solid colors. And that's what I think about when I think fractals, because it's like the closer you zoom in, it's like the same thing over and over and over and over. And that's basically how fractals work, is kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a cube and it's got a cube on it, and that cube would have a cube on it, and like it'd work kind of like that. So I'm thinking like this would kind of be like Limbo style platformer game, where
that makes
you
sense.
can die kind of easily, and it's like kind of more of a puzzle platformer than like a combat based platformer. And you have to like figure out if you shrink. So like if you shrink, like you're just going to go into like the smaller version of the level that you're already on. But like when you get down to that level, you'll be, big again, I guess. It's a weird thing to talk about without like having like a slideshow of someone showing it to you.
I think the level, like you think it's just the first level. It's a very small level. You can see the end of it when you start out, but that turns out to be the entire game world, because every time you get smaller, the game world gets bigger. I think that could be cool.
Yeah.
What this reminds me of is a movie called The Incredible Shrinking Man. Have you seen that?
I don't think so, no.
It's like a 50s movie about a man who is constantly getting smaller. And I just Googled it, and there was a picture of The Incredible Shrinking Man next to a spider, and that made me think that I immediately need to watch this movie again. Because I haven't seen it since I was like 5. But I think it's that. It's the character is getting smaller, and there are different obstacles depending on the size. So maybe it's an insect, maybe it's like vacuum cleaner, or then it gets onto the level of quarks and atoms and electrons. Sort of like the game Everything. Have you seen that?
How familiar? And this is kind of derailing what you're talking about, but how familiar are you with like 70s sitcoms? Like
I cannot think of a single 70s sitcom off the top of my head.
So
The Incredible Hulk wasn't a sitcom, was it?
Different Strokes,
right.
Good Times. There were some 80s ones. So the reason I bring this up is because I want to call it Fractal in the Family, which is the sitcom with Archie Bunker, the like racist old asshole guy, and his wife Edith, who's kind of like intelligent but also married to an asshole guy, and then his daughter is either they definitely get married. I don't know if they start off married in the show though. To like a liberal, like a young liberal guy. So he's always like really mad that his daughter's like, and so like that part of it's kind of like just him getting mad at his son-in-law. And basically it's a show about how Archie Bunker, this like crotchety old man, gets mad at things. And I want to call the game Fractal in the Family because I like sitcoms. I don't have many more reasons to justify it than that. But I was thinking that since it's like a puzzle platformer, we could have it be just narrative. Like you could play as one of the characters in All in the Family. So it would just be kind of like what's that Sonic? Is Sonic Adventure the one with like Big the Cat levels and Tails levels and
yeah.
So I want it to be kind of like that, where like the fractals and like the single game world that you're in is different based on like which character you are.
That's good.
And so like even though like the original pitch was about a girl, and I started thinking about it as like Archie Bunker's daughter, whose name I can't remember now. Like so that's like the main character, and after you beat the main story, you unlock like the Archie levels and the Edith levels, and then I can't remember the other character, like I can't remember the two kid characters' names, the girl and her husband. But like I just like Fractal in the Family. I just liked saying that.
I think
so I had to force that into a video game.
I think what we could do is that you can hear the soundtrack of a 70s sitcom episode in the background, and every time you get smaller, it gets more stretched out and slowed down and lower pitched. So you can still for quite a while make out what they're saying, but after a while it's just
yeah. Are you familiar at all with Neil Cicierega's music?
To a certain extent.
Yeah, in not his first music. Obviously, he started a long time ago, but in his album Mouth Sounds, which I think it was in 2010, it was like a bunch of songs, and they were all like Smash Mouth mashups.
Yeah, I know.
And then in 2014, I want to say, he made Mouth Silence, which was without Smash Mouth. But in like a few of the songs, there's like a really low pitched wind kind of noise, and if you speed it up to like 1600% or something like that, it's just All Star by Smash Mouth.
Yeah.
So I think that works. Like the smaller you get, like everything just starts getting a bit slower and deeper and deeper and deeper, and no one really understands it. But if someone has like a Let's Play and then they put it on like super speed of the game, they can just hear like an entire episode of All in the Family.
Okay.
Or other random 70s sitcom like Three's Company or something like that.
Or Horsing Around. I don't know.
Horsing Around.
Here's a suggestion from Smelliot. Thank you. He is so on point with this, because this is one of the best thing. This is the best submissions you could possibly give. And it's two submissions. There's Super Starship Buddies, the first game with Bionic Amiibo functionality. And then there's Super Starship Buddies 2, a game with absolutely zero Bionic Amiibos. We all knew the neural net would adapt, we just didn't know it would happen that fast. Please keep 8-year-old Jeremy Wells in your thoughts and prayers. He fought valiantly for his country and indeed for his species. This is the best submission ever.
I love it.
I don't know how we make it out of a game. How we make a game out of it, though, other than just standing in awe, as Smelly says.
Yeah, because that's such a good idea. I feel like it has to be it has to be a game that takes itself way too seriously and puts more effort into being good than and more effort into telling you it's good than actually it being good. There was this game in, like, I want to say 08 or 09. I could have that wrong. Called Dark Void, and it sucked, but like it took itself really seriously, and like there is, and this is spoilers, but also the game sucks, so I don't care if I spoil it for people. Like at the very end, one of the characters, I believe, either stabs or throws a knife into the chest of another character, and that kills like the character, and then in the very next scene, they're carrying the corpse of that character with no knife in it, and they just don't explain it. Like the knife, like they fall down, the knife sticking out of the chest, and the next scene they're carrying that, like not like time lapsed, like just different shot of the same scene, and there's no knife in the chest of this. So
that's amazing.
I like because that's such a good idea. I feel like if it's like Half-Life 3, if we tried to live up to like how good that pitch is, we couldn't do it. So we can either go the Valve route, which is don't do it, or we can go our route, which is more fun and just do a shitty thing. that way people aren't upset that like the idea is what made it fail. It was.
Well, I think
we'll get reviews that was like a great concept, and that way it won't be Smelliot's fault for our game tanking and being a piece of shit.
We have to figure out, I think, what a bionic amiibo actually is. And my first thought was the toys in Small Soldiers that have the chip in them that makes them come alive. We need to get we need to get a hold of that chip. We have to.
That was a Disney movie, wasn't it?
No, it was DreamWorks.
Oh, it was DreamWorks.
Because it was back when DreamWorks was like, hey, let's take that idea Pixar just used, because it is kind of Toy Story.
Yeah. Isn't there a Small World? I feel like at Disneyland they had like a Small World kind of thing, and I must have just conflated them, because you might have seen it, but obviously it was a 90s film, so
what Small Soldiers?
All of the this may be my like child mind like making it sound way more serious than it actually was, but the advertisement was like, it's a small world after all, or some shit like that. And I remember The Lion King, which came out before that. It had to have came out before that movie. Lion King had Zazu singing "It's a Small World After All," and so I knew about that song, and I was like, "Whoa, is this like Disney?" Because Zazu sings "Small World." Like, I don't know. I guess that's probably how I drew that line in my head as a child.
That is interesting.
I didn't have a lot of like cohesive logical strings of thought as a child, obviously, which is how I ended up like I am.
So if, like you're saying, the game is actually crappy but we take it very seriously, I think that in the game we pretend that the amiibo is a bionic amiibo and that it is in fact conscious, but it is actually just a normal amiibo.
Oh yeah, and then the sequel, like everyone knows it's just an amiibo, and in the sequel we like super play up how it was like, you know, like Skynet happened and all that, and then it turned out that like no, it didn't. Like we're still running with that joke that everyone's already like, no, we weren't into it the first time.
And I think for a marketing stunt we could pull is stage a fake funeral for Jeremy Wells, where at which we screen fake footage of the war between the humans and the bionic amiibos when they inevitably rose up.
I think, okay, so
that is actually a better video game. No, hold on. The idea of humans going to war against conscious amiibos is actually better than Starship Buddies.
Yes, but I want to put a cap on this.
Okay.
Because have you ever played the Command and Conquer series?
No.
I think in Command and Conquer Red Alert, or in one of the Red Alert games, it has. I know you've seen these clips because I think you've shared them with me before. They are like world leaders, like live action actors being world leaders and then talking to you, and like George Takei plays the leader of Japan, and I want to say that there's like other celebrities that I just can't remember right now. I want to say Ron Perlman, but I am almost 100% sure that that's incorrect.
I have definitely never heard of that, but that sounds cool.
I think you might have, but I don't think you knew it was from Command and Conquer. I think you just shared like, look at this funny video of this line that was delivered. I'll have to go and see if that was someone else. But
yeah, I don't remember that.
I think that Ashton Kutcher should be the president, and like outside, like in between gameplay sections, Ashton Kutcher as president will like give you updates on the scenario of the war.
He would be a good president.
I believe so. Yeah.
Like we found out between podcasts that Ashton Kutcher, outside of his acting career, is actually like a really solid, good guy.
Hold on. You found out.
Yeah,
I knew.
You always.
I have followed. No, I figured out in like earlier this year whenever he gave that speech in front of the United States Congress about.
But you've always felt it in the depths of your heart that he was.
But no, like I think most people had like no idea that Ashton Kutcher was like very like I guess like philanthropic is the right word,
Mm-hmm.
Until earlier this year, and then it just like went viral that he was in front of Congress talking about like the software that he helps fund and develop that ends like child trafficking and stuff like that. So, but yes, because of that, I think he would make a good president, and in real life, really, but mostly in this video game, which is where I think he's needed the most right now.
Mm-hmm. I think the trailer for the game about the two games, Super Starship Buddies 1 and 2, it is the Pacific Rim Independence Day style speech that Ashton Kutcher gives to raise the spirits of the soldiers who are about to go out and fight the bionic amiibos. I think this has to be a first-party Nintendo game if we're going to be able to get all of the Nintendo characters on the models of the amiibos in the game.
I mean, Nintendo is not known for being very strict with their licenses, so I think they'll be fine with it, really. We'll just make Hammer using them. Like, that's cool. You can just use them.
Yeah, I'm sure they're like that. They like, even if we just made it like we said it was a fan game, they're cool with fan games, right?
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a couple pitches I want to throw out,
Okay.
and I don't think any of them are worth like going into a long video game about them, but I thought they were funny. And these three come from my agnostic Twitter search for the hashtag video game idea. First one is from Tristan J. Pearson, and it's Call of Jury Duty.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to think, I want to think it's like a fast-paced action shooter where, or not a shooter, just a fast-paced game where you have to, using twitch reflexes, respond with answers that will most likely get you not selected for jury duty.
No, what I think it is that you're in the middle of a Call of Duty You're in the middle of a Call of Duty match, and you suddenly get the letter saying that you have to turn up for jury duty, and you have to leave the match and try and do your duty as quickly as possible and get back.
Yeah, just be a good enough juror that you finish you do it before the Call of Duty match ends.
Yeah.
Another one is this one's from Nicholas Yanes. It's Liam Neeson punching different wolves. It's like Angry Birds, but with wolves being punched. And I like that one because we had Liam Neeson in like Taken in one of our previous pitches.
Yeah, but this isn't Taken Liam Neeson. This is just real life Liam Neeson.
Yeah, this isn't him acting in a role in the video game. It's Liam Neeson gets transported from his wherever he lives mansion and is now just punching wolves at the whims of a mobile phone.
Have you heard that Liam Neeson was a teacher until he got fired for punching a student?
I had no idea.
That's a real thing. So I think these wolves are also students. He teaches a class of wolves, and when they start misbehaving, when they shoot spitballs at him, he has to attack the wolves. Okay.
I'm going to end this mini pitch with a name, Punches with Wolves.
Good.
And then the last one is P. Diddy Kong Racing, and that's by the Vince 11. It's literally just Diddy Kong Racing, but one of the characters is Sean Diddy Combs.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah. So we've been going for a while now. Should we pick the game that becomes the actual video game idea of the episode?
I have one here that could be the one.
Okay.
This I am into this. This is from Oblivion Johan, which, by the way, awesome name. This was on the subreddit. Club Penguin, but with gambling.
That's illegal.
No, online gambling is cool. Like, that's, cool with the government. Online poker is a big thing.
I've never played Club Penguin. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I'm just gonna assume it's like internet role playing, but for kids.
Yeah, it's like a life simulator. Basically, it is kind of like cynical and depressing that the whole thing about it is that consumerism runs rampant. You need to have better clothes and better puffles and better igloo decorations, and so you have to grind at a job. So the best way to do it, the most efficient way to make coins so that you could buy all your stuff, was just to constantly be doing the kart racing minigame where you're doing kart stunts, which I have a pretty good technique lockdown on that, so I can get maybe 100, 200 coins each time. And you do that over and over and over until you can afford all the nice things that you want to buy because you're a consumer whore. So it's it's all of that, except because you're so crushed by the system and your constant need to be working, you try and find the easy way out, and that is gambling. And so, and I think
I want this to be like. First of all, I want to call this game Nightclub Penguin. And
that is good.
I want this to be kind of a Heavy Rain style video game where it's like you have to go through, like you have to shave in the morning and you just like have to go about doing your life, and you have to do the kart racing minigame, which is the job in this scenario, which Heavy Rain was a game about a detective and a crime and whatever. But we're not going to do that. We're going to go more like Papers, Please with the job. Where like the kart racing minigame is just like every day is pretty much the same, but some of it changes. And what we have to do is we have to go to the nightclub at night.
So maybe I think
and you gamble. But we have a family that we have to hide from because
that's what I was gonna say.
Wouldn't approve.
I think you have a penguin.
Habits.
You have a penguin daughter, and you need to keep working because you need to keep feeding your penguin daughter. But she is also sick with an illness, and you live in Penguin America, and so healthcare is not free, and you have to afford the surgery that she needs, and you can't get that money from the kart racing, and so it's sort of a moral dilemma. Are you going to be, if you do the gambling, you are playing for life. The stakes are deathly, because if you lose, then you will not have the money to feed your daughter, let alone afford her surgery. But if you win, you'll be able to save your daughter. And yeah, like you said, Heavy Rain, we could get sort of story driven with all the things that happen when you inevitably lose at the gambling and you have to figure out a new way to feed and save your daughter. Maybe you turn to crime, robbing the coffee shop. Yeah.
So we haven't done any Spooktober yet.
Okay.
And here's the thing. So in Heavy Rain, this definitely the scariest sections are the part when you're playing the father whose child was kidnapped, and like you have to make the decision to, like, for example, I think cut off your own finger is one of them, and then like kill a guy who's a father but also a drug dealer is another. There's a few scenarios like that. It turns out all being bullshit because like it was like every time you do one of these things that's kind of like psychologically scary, you get a new clue about where your kid actually is, and there's several choices, but only one of them is right. And like the audio clip at the end, you hear a fucking boat horn, and so like no matter what choices you made, you knew it was at the docks because you heard, like, it was the most obvious clue, so it made you feel like a dumbass for doing any of the clues. But I want to make this kind of a scary thing where you get you start of the game, you think you get the game. And like you go and you start gambling and whatever, and like as you keep doing that, and like you don't get caught because you do the levels correctly, and you gamble, and then you feed your daughter. On like level maybe 3 or 4, there's like a dude who's got kind of a shrouded face at the same craps table as you or whatever, and so then on your way home it's like dark or whatever, and then this dude shows up, and it's like kind of a psychological thriller thing, like where after that dude shows up and it's like a creepy encounter but nothing really happens, and then that night you go to sleep and you wake up and it's like a dream world, kind of like Silent Hill style. I'm thinking specifically Silent Hill 4 The Room, which was not supposed to be a Silent Hill game but then later became one, where it's kind of like everything doesn't happen. Like it's the only one where like it's considered to be, and Silent Hill doesn't explain its plots, but kind of like, so you're in a room and you're stuck, and then you climb through a hole, and then you're in like a subway station, and it's some weird shit like that. But like, so this will be like a psychological thriller about like you like, it's called Nightclub Penguin, and you think you get it at first, and then you realize it's a psychological thriller game. And so like when you go home that night, you wake up and like things are different in kind of a creepy way around that place, but you can't draw attention to any of the creepy things, or else your daughter will find out that you've been gambling. So like you have to balance like for example, let's say there's a girl that you've been gambling with, and she, I guess, gives you like maybe some information like where she's gonna be or what her name is or whatever, and then on the next day on the news you see that this woman was murdered and they need information on where she was at, like something like that, and like you can't, tell the police or whatever about these things, because then your daughter will know that you're gambling, and like the whole like an instant game ender is revealing that you gamble.
And this whole dramatic story, there is no voice acting. Every single line of dialogue is delivered through a Club Penguin text bubble that goes.
And I think that could be scary, because I've played a few games. One of them that comes to mind immediately is Home, which is a pixel art 2D psychological thriller kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you meet people, and like all the dialogue is in text bubbles, and it's told a lot through like examining paper, and it'll give you text bubbles of descriptions and stuff. So yeah, it's
I think the way we could make this really scary is if we don't sell it as a cinematic story-driven game. We sell it as like Club Penguin, and you think that everything that is happening is actually happening to you. It's actually happening in this Club Penguin world.
Yeah.
And the other thing about it is that if we want to ramp up that replayability outside of that story, I think the potential for a community like a community like Club Penguin that's consumerism and money driven, where different people, whoever's better at gambling, gets more stuff. I think that could be really interesting. And way more interesting than like most online gambling, where it's just, oh well, we're gambling for fake money and there's no stakes. You're gambling for money that you can spend in this virtual space.
Right. And like, so I just thought of another thing that's like a thing we could do with a story. So like you're still set, you still have to go to work, you still have to do your minecart. So let's say like one of the people that does the minecart at like the same time you do, so you see each other and whatever, and you kind of talk. Later that night they see you coming out of the like the gambling casino place with like a murderer or something like that that like is on the news the next day for murdering somebody, and then like that like you have to stop that guy from going to the police, because if you go to the police and they says, I saw this person coming out of the casino with the murderer, like that's immediately game ender, because that tells let your daughter know you were gambling. So you have to like figure out how to stop this person, and like no matter what, it ends up with this person dying. But sometimes it's like your fault directly, like you choose to just actually kill this person, or you choose to like make it so that he can't make it to the police station. So you like you can choose to like clip his brake line so he doesn't have any brakes on his car, where that causes him to like run a red light and get in a car accident. So like just a bunch of stuff like that could happen. So like you like force the player to make choices that they don't want to make, because the only way to continue with the video game is to do everything possible to not let your daughter know that you've been gambling. All
right. So I think we've got two sort of experiences there. You've got the story experience for psychopaths like Spanky who want to play that, and you've got the gambling for consumerist pawns of the government's great plan, like me. Yeah, that should be.
Heck yeah.
That should be good. I just want to say, while we're on the subject of Club Penguin, I did play quite a lot of Club Penguin in my childhood, and with the recent end of it, they did this thing where for the new game that's absolutely terrible, the Club Penguin Island or whatever, you could using your old Club Penguin account reserve your username in the next game. And I did that, even though I don't play the other game just because that is my username and nobody else is ever going to use it. And I also...
It's your Twitter name, isn't it?
It's not my Twitter name. It's... I don't know if I want to say it in the podcast because it's the password for a few of my accounts.
Oh, okay. I see.
Which, like, maybe I'll go and change those and then tell everyone my awesome username that I came up with when I was 5.
Oh, man. Okay.
But I also reserved the name on Club Penguin Rewritten, which is actually pretty cool because it's a recreation of Club Penguin circa 2010 that is completely indecipherable from what it was like then. It's like, I don't even know how they did it, but it's a perfect emulation. And it's also free. Like, it had a membership service, the original Club Penguin, that was like $10 a month. And you can just be a member for free because it's not the real game anymore. So it's kind of cooler than real Club Penguin was.
I did play, and this was kind of early on in its... I played RuneScape when I was, I want to say 12 or 13. But I don't remember spending a lot of time in it. I also played around the same time Toontown.
Oh, yeah.
In its original incarnation. And I also don't remember spending a lot of time there either. But my name in Toontown was Captain Scooter. Because like they had things you couldn't just type in a name. You had to actually like choose from possible combinations. So Captain Scooter was like my name, and I had another friend on Toontown that was like Captain Yo-Yo, and we just like chilled and we were both captains. That's gonna be it for this week. Now I do want to say that first of all, if you want to pitch stuff at us, which you totally should, do it at Twitter, CoolGames Inc. VN with KWL, CoolGames Inc. VN at gmail.com. You can go to the subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/CoolGames Inc. without the KEWL, just regular CoolGames Inc. Or you can go to our YouTube channel to search CoolGames Inc. Vancouver on YouTube. Make sure to put CoolGames as one word because we haven't done the search stuff to make that work when you don't separate them. And I also wanted to say that some people have asked about this, and it's going to happen in the future, which is to have guests on to kind of do to make the executive decisions about the pitch and to decide whether or not it's good or crap. We do have a couple people lined up who are interested. It's just kind of working out the whole time. When are they going to be on the show thing? Yeah. That's been kind of hard because even for us, it's been we don't know when we're recording every weekend yet. Yeah. So, but that is going to happen in the future.
Thank you for listening to CoolGames Inc. Vancouver. I'm Euan Yowza Yowza Bobowza. I also have a catchphrase.
And I'm Spanky. Spanky works on Twitter, but just Spanky works.
And do a good game.
Hello, podcast listeners. This is Spanky from CoolGames Inc. Vancouver, speaking to you from the Interdimensional Time Bureau. You may be wondering why we did not discuss last week's game, Wins Waldo, and how it performed. This is because Waldo is actually a time criminal, and went back in time to keep the game from ever being made in order to cover his tracks. We are complying with the Interdimensional Time Bureau on this, and after we are released, all memories of the game will be wiped from our minds. This recorded statement will be encrypted and appended to the next episode of the podcast. Good night, and good luck.